Now, many of you will know that the US has been trying to, of course, stop the Chinese EV makers from penetrating their country. They started by imposing 100% tariff increase sometimes last year, which was so painful, or which was not that good onto the Chinese EV makers. And as if that was not enough, we read towards the end of the year that the Biden administration want to ban Chinese tech connected cars in the US, meaning that these cars, if somewhere somehow they find themselves in the US, all tech connected cars unfortunately will not be allowed to be driven in the US, which is something that of course is not good. I mean, the China Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the US practice violates the principle of market economy and fair competition and is firmly opposed to it. This is what the China Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, and like I said, this is not good because it's becoming more difficult for EV companies like Nio to penetrate the US market. They are doing well in their home country in China. Now this, like I said, is not good because apparently this Biden administration just announced the decision in January 14, saying that the move was aimed on protecting the US from national security risks posed with Chinese and Russian exploration of the US connected car supply chains. The US Department of Commerce issued a final rule banning the sale and import of connected car hardware and software systems, as well as completed connected cars from China and Russia. This is the statement which came, of course, from the White House, which is something that obviously it's not good to see. This is something that obviously still seeing more measures being taken to stop the EV cars like Nio, or Chinese EV cars like Nio, Leo, Xpeng and the other to penetrate the European market. It's not fair competition. I mean, Tesla, it's selling well in China and it's a US company, right? We've got Ford, we've got all these other companies that are selling well in China. To be fair, how China is winning the market share in China is because of their innovation, is because of their technology, is because of the quality that you find on the cars, on the Chinese cars which they are building, which is why right now other luxury brands or other brands outside of China are struggling because the old thing that we knew about China saying that they are not selling quality cars, it's off the windows now. Chinese cars are of good qualities, or majority of the companies are making good quality cars, especially companies like our very own Nio, which makes premium brands, family brands, and of course high-end small car brand. Nio makes sure that those cars are built based on a 5-star safety European standards, which is something that is great because once it passes or once it gets a 5-star under the European standards, it means that globally that car is of top quality. Globally that car is safe, which is something that, like I said, it's good to see our own Nio having 5 stars on all of the vehicles, and this puts China on the map. This puts China on the next level, which is why we tend to see those most popular brands, all brands, Ford, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Lexus, obviously starting to struggle in terms of sales because they really have got some serious competition from Nio, from Ovo, Lioro, Xiaomi, Aito, Zika. All these car companies are producing some pretty good decent cars. BYD, which is something that obviously shows us that US is obviously scared of that. US don't want that in their country because they know once they open those cars to come to the US, majority of the cars or some of the car companies in the US rather are going to close down because they won't be selling as much, they won't be doing as much. Companies or EV companies like Lucid, I would really feel sad for them because if they can come, those Chinese companies or EV companies in the US, it's lights out for some of those companies, Rivian. But again, we'll see. So reading this, it shows that it's serious. The US does not want China cars to be sold in the US because honestly, I'll tell you something. The competition, yes, they might talk about some of their technology maybe being used as spy, but come on, man. I don't think it can be that bad in a way that, first of all, you imposed 100% tariff increase on all Chinese EV makers. The second thing you do, you don't want those companies to have Chinese software in them operating, meaning that you need US software. Should they find themselves there, they need to have a US maybe cockpit or software that is being utilized on those vehicles, which is something that, like I said, it's not good to see. So yeah, man, this is what we read today. US is finalizing the rules of banning Chinese tech in connected cars, right? And this, as a result, will mean, or will just make companies like Nio, when they go to the US, to find a partner who they can utilize their, obviously, cockpit operating system of the car, so that at least they can be able to sell their cars in the US. But again, it will be very difficult because, like I said, over and above this, there are already tariffs which the Biden administration strike Chinese EV makers with 100% tariff increase last year, which is something that was not good, something that was not obviously fair to see, because the competition in China is quite fair. Yes, China, there might be some other things which they are doing, maybe to retaliate or to make their companies or their local companies do more, like introducing subsidies like we're seeing, but they are not being that hard onto US companies, Europe companies. But on the other hand, or other side, we are seeing both Europe, US, of course, wanting to make sure that their car companies or local car companies continue to do well. And I think it should be a fair competition. The government must not try to stop. It's not good that the government try to stop Chinese EV makers from entering their countries, but rather there be fair competition for all. Let all these companies, because at the end of the day, if they are stopping innovation, the tech that they will see, or they will be found onto their very old European, US cars, it won't be as good as the Chinese EV makers, because there won't be competition. Remember, when there is no competition, people tend to relax, or companies tend to relax. But I tell you, if they allow Chinese EV makers to obviously go to the US, it's going to make the US companies to really pull up their socks and go upgrade their technology and make sure that they take it to the next level, which is something that will also be good for them, because they will now be on par when it comes to the technology that we are seeing onto some of these Chinese EV makers like Nio. So yeah, man, just thought I'd give you this quick update. I am not that happy about this, and when I read this, man, I realized that it's serious. It's becoming much tough. I mean, you know that Nio has got offices already in the US, somewhere in San Jose, and obviously they are strategizing, trying to find ways to penetrate the European market. And though there are all these stumble blocks that we are reading or that are in front of us, at the end of the day, it will be something that we are going to see in our lifetime. EV makers, or Chinese EV makers, penetrating the US market. They will find ways, they will find how they can do that, and all we need to do as investors is to brace ourselves and watch what takes place. Otherwise, that's all from me. Do your own due diligence. I'll see you on my next video, and God bless you all.